I'm Elena, and this is the story of how my business partner thought he could outsmart me. It started with late-night video calls in our home office, company funds transferred without my knowledge, and a name, Vivian Hayes, that kept appearing in our business communications. Marcus, my co-founder and former lover, wasn't just planning to push me out of our company. He was planning to steal everything we'd built together. But he underestimated me. He thought I would fold, that being a single mother would make me too vulnerable to fight back. Instead, I protected what was mine, not just for me, but for my 8-year-old daughter Sophia. 1 week later, his entire scheme crumbled. But what hurt the most wasn't just the betrayal. It was realizing how long he'd been planning to destroy the future I was building for my daughter. I woke up to Sophia's empty bed beside mine. She'd crawled in during the night after another nightmare, but now the cold sheets told me she'd already gotten up for school. I could hear Marcus's voice drifting from our home office down the hall. That was the space we'd converted for late-night strategy sessions when our healthcare startup was just taking off. At first, I thought maybe he was on an early call with our West Coast investors. But as I padded toward the kitchen, something in his tone made me freeze. The office door was cracked open, blue light from his laptop screen casting shadows across the hallway. My stomach clenched as I caught fragments of his conversation. "Just a little longer, Elena has no idea about the acquisition talks yet," he said. I stopped breathing. My hand gripped the doorframe as his voice continued, smooth and calculated, like he was reassuring someone on the other end. Who the hell was he talking to about acquisition talks? We were partners, equal partners. Any major business decision was supposed to go through both of us. I pressed closer to the door, my heart hammering against my ribs. The blue glow from his screen illuminated his face, and I could see he was on a video call. A woman's voice responded, but I couldn't make out the words. My mind raced through possibilities, each one more devastating than the last. After a few seconds, I heard his chair creak. Panic shot through me as I realized he was about to end the call. I barely had time to slip back to the kitchen before I heard his footsteps. I grabbed a coffee mug, forcing my hands to stay steady as he appeared in the doorway. "Morning," he said, rubbing his neck like he'd been up all night. "You're up early," I said. My voice came out normal, casual, like I hadn't just heard him discussing our company's future without me. "Couldn't sleep," he replied, focusing on the coffee maker. "Work stuff keeping you up?" I asked. A lie was already forming on his lips. "Just some routine investor updates," he said, pouring himself coffee like nothing had happened. "Nothing major." I stared at him, searching his face for any crack in that practiced calm. He met my gaze with the same easy confidence that had once made me trust him completely. Maybe I was reading too much into it. Maybe it really was just routine business. But that phrase, "Elena has no idea," echoed in my mind like a warning bell. I forced myself to nod and turn away. My mind was screaming that something was terribly wrong, but I couldn't confront him. Not yet. Not without proof. The next morning, I woke up before Marcus. Sophia was already at school, and the apartment felt eerily quiet. Marcus was still asleep on the couch in our home office, surrounded by papers and his laptop still glowing from an all-night work session. I grabbed my phone and padded barefoot to the kitchen, my mind still replaying that conversation I'd overheard. I didn't usually dig into our company finances without him. We'd always handled the business side together, splitting responsibilities between my healthcare expertise and his tech background. But something felt wrong. I opened our company banking app and scrolled through the recent transactions. My stomach dropped. $15,000, $8,500, $12,000, $20,000, a series of transfers over the past 3 months, all going to accounts I didn't recognize. Our healthcare app was finally generating revenue, and we'd agreed to reinvest everything back into development and marketing. These transfers weren't for payroll, weren't for our agreed-upon expenses, and definitely weren't for anything we discussed in our weekly business meetings. My hands trembled as I scrolled further. Behind me, I heard movement from the office. I quickly closed the app and turned to see Marcus stumbling toward the kitchen, his hair disheveled from sleeping on the couch. "Morning," he mumbled, voice rough with exhaustion. "Coffee ready?" he asked. I forced a smile, gesturing toward the pot. Just finished brewing, I said. He moved past me, and I caught the scent of his cologne mixed with the staleness of an all-nighter. You were up late, I observed, watching him pour coffee into his favorite mug, the one Sophia had decorated for him last Christmas. Big project? I asked. Just some financial projections, he said, taking a long sip. Boring stuff. I leaned against the counter, studying his face. I was looking at our company accounts this morning. Marcus paused mid-sip, just for a heartbeat, but I caught it. His shoulders tensed almost imperceptibly before he forced that familiar easy smile. And? There are some large transfers I don't recognize, I said. I kept my voice steady, professional. Payments to external accounts, I added. He barely hesitated, but I knew him well enough to see the calculation behind his eyes. Oh, those are just some consulting fees, some new development partnerships we're exploring, he said. Development partnerships? I asked. The words felt foreign in my mouth. Since when do we make those decisions separately? I asked. Marcus set his mug down, and I noticed his grip was tighter than usual. Elena, you've been so busy with Sophia and your shifts at the hospital, I didn't want to burden you with every little business detail, he said. He was lying. I could see it in the way he avoided my eyes, the way his voice carried that practiced tone I'd heard him use with difficult investors. I just didn't understand why. The rest of the day, I couldn't shake the feeling that everything was shifting beneath my feet. Marcus was constantly on his phone, stepping out to take calls in the hallway or ducking into coffee shops when we were supposed to be working together. His laptop screen was always angled away from me during our meetings, and every time I tried to bring up company strategy, he'd deflect with talk about technical upgrades or market research. That evening, after I put Sophia to bed and read her 3 chapters of her favorite book, I found myself staring at our framed photo on the mantel. It was from the day we'd signed our business incorporation papers, both of us grinning, holding champagne glasses, believing we were building something that would secure both our futures. Marcus had always been charming, persuasive, the kind of person who could convince investors to write checks after a 15-minute pitch. But I'd known him for 7 years, had watched him navigate every crisis our startup had faced. I knew when he was hiding something. And he was definitely hiding something now. I glanced toward the office, where he was supposedly working on a presentation for tomorrow's client meeting. The blue glow from his screen cast shadows across his face, and I could see his lips moving slightly, another video call, another conversation I wasn't part of. A knot formed in my chest, heavy and cold. The question I'd been pushing away all day finally surfaced, am I losing control of the company we built together, or is something even worse happening? The doubt settled deep in my bones, and I knew that tomorrow I'd have to start looking for real answers. I had spent the night tossing and turning. Marcus's voice from that early morning call still echoed, casual, dismissive, calculated. The kind of tone used when planning to cut someone out. I went through my morning routine robotically, replaying every business meeting, every decision he'd made without consulting me. Marcus walked into the kitchen like any ordinary day. Morning, Elena, he said with that familiar smile. I've been thinking that we should organize our business documentation better. Get all our corporate records, stock certificates, account information in one secure location, he said. I froze, coffee mug halfway to my lips. Our business documentation? I asked. Yes, he said, leaning against the counter. Do you have copies of your stock certificates, investment records, banking passwords? We should consolidate everything for better organization, he said. Marcus had never suggested organizing paperwork before. We'd always maintained separate records. I suppose I could gather everything together, I said. His smile widened, but something flickered behind his eyes. This wasn't about organization. Marcus was positioning himself for something, and he needed access to everything I owned. That evening, Marcus was acting strangely normal. He helped Sophia with homework, suggested ordering pizza. He was playing the caring partner perfectly. And that terrified me. Then it happened. Marcus went to shower, leaving his laptop open on the dining table. He never left his computer unattended. Never. I stared at the glowing screen, heart racing. He'd been composing an email to Vivian Hayes. I moved closer, hands trembling as I read the preview. Elena still has no idea about the acquisition timeline. Keep the investors ready, it said. My breath caught. The room felt like it was shrinking. Who was Vivian Hayes, and what acquisition timeline? Was Marcus selling our company behind my back? I heard the shower shut off. Panic shot through me as I stepped back, sinking into a chair. Marcus walked back in, towel drying his hair. He was completely relaxed, unaware I'd discovered his betrayal. Did you decide on a movie? He asked, closing his laptop casually. Not yet, I replied. He picked up his computer like it contained nothing important. But I knew the truth now. The pieces were falling into place: secret calls, missing money, sudden interest in my documentation, and now Vivian Hayes coordinating with investors. I needed more than a glimpse of an email. I needed proof that would hold up in court. So I played along. I let him hug Sophia goodnight, act like the man I'd once trusted. And then I lay awake, whispering into the darkness, who the hell is Vivian Hayes? The next morning, the name Vivian Hayes haunted my thoughts. I moved through my routine like sleepwalking, making Sophia's lunch, braiding her hair, kissing her goodbye. Marcus sat across from me, scrolling his phone with familiar ease. I wondered if he knew I'd seen that email. Then he looked up with that charming smile. Hey, Elena, can you sign something real quick? I nearly choked on my coffee. Sign what? I asked. Just some updated corporate paperwork, he said, sliding a document across the table. Our lawyer wants everything current for the new investment round. I scanned the first page. Transfer of equity interest. Stock transfer agreement. My 50% ownership would be transferred to Marcus's sole control. Marcus, I said, barely steady, what is this? It's just a formality, restructuring for tax efficiency. Nothing changes operationally, he answered. I stared at him. You're asking me to sign over my entire stake, I asked. Just consolidating the voting structure for efficiency, he said. This was theft, wrapped in corporate jargon. I placed the document back on the table. I'm not signing this, I said. His smile flickered. Elena, don't be dramatic, he said. Then why are you so eager for me to sign without my lawyer reviewing it? He asked. His expression hardened. You really don't want to make this complicated, Elena, he said. Is that a threat? I asked. He leaned back, his face cold and calculating. I just think you're making this harder than it needs to be, he said. I smiled, standing and gathering the papers. You're absolutely right. I do need to think about this carefully, I said. His eyes narrowed. He wasn't expecting that response. For the first time since this nightmare started, I was in control. That night, Marcus acted like nothing had happened. He helped Sophia with homework, read her a bedtime story. But as I watched him, a cold realization settled in. This had never been about protecting our company. He was setting up his exit strategy. The next morning, I found Marcus in our office. We need to talk, he said, closing his laptop. About what? I asked. I think it's time we dissolved our partnership. He delivered the words like a rehearsed pitch. The company has outgrown our original structure, he added. He wasn't asking for my opinion. He was informing me my role was over. You've been planning this for months, haven't you? I asked. It's just business, Elena. We've grown in different directions, he said. I leaned forward. You mean you found a buyer, and you want me gone? I asked. He didn't deny it. Something fundamental had changed inside me. This was about Sophia's future. I leaned back, meeting his gaze. I already secured my stake, I said. Marcus's body went rigid. What do you mean? He asked. I smiled, slow and deliberate. Exactly what it sounds like, I said. His jaw clenched as realization hit him. All those months of planning, and he'd underestimated me. Marcus stood abruptly, his expression transforming. His smile was razor-sharp and cold. "You have no idea what you've just started, Elena," he said. I was ready. Marcus had shown his hand, and now it was my turn to play. The morning air felt heavy as I got Sophia ready for school. Coffee tasted bitter, and the silence after she left felt oppressive. I told myself not to let Marcus's threats get under my skin. Then came the knock, sharp, professional, official. A woman in a business suit held a thick envelope. "Elena Rodriguez?" she asked me. "Yes," I replied. "You've been served," she said. I didn't need to open it to know what it contained. At our kitchen table, I pulled out the papers. Petition for dissolution of business partnership. Marcus wanted immediate control of all assets, intellectual property, and clients. He was claiming I'd been an inactive partner who contributed nothing. I let out a bitter laugh. He thought he could rewrite our entire history. This character assassination had been planned for months. At my attorney's office, Jonathan flipped through the legal papers. "Well," he said, tapping his pen, "he's got absolutely nothing." "Just like that?" I asked. "Just like that," he said. "You secured your rights and moved assets into a protected trust before he filed. He has no legal claim to your work or stake in the company. He's just the tech guy. You're the one with healthcare expertise," he said. I let out a slow breath, tension finally releasing. For the first time in weeks, I could think clearly. Marcus had completely underestimated the single mother he thought he could manipulate. That evening, Marcus stormed into the apartment, his composure shattered. His shirt was wrinkled, his face flushed with rage. "You think you're so clever, don't you?" His voice was sharp, dangerous. I calmly answered. "I think I'm protecting what's mine." His hands clenched into fists. "You went behind my back," he said. I looked him directly in the eyes. "So did you," I said. Sophia's bedroom door was closed, but I could hear her moving around. Marcus exhaled sharply, his voice dropping to a harsh whisper. "This isn't over, Elena. You have no idea what you've started," he said. I exhaled slowly, my voice steady. "Good. Because I'm just getting started." "The war had only just begun," I replied. For the first time in weeks, I felt relief knowing Marcus had lost his legal grip. But I should have known he wouldn't retreat gracefully. Trouble came at the hospital. Colleagues gave me sideways glances, hushed conversations that stopped when I walked by. My friend Tyler approached me in the break room. "Hey, Elena, there's a rumor going around. People are saying you've been embezzling from your startup. Supporting some gambling addiction," she said. The words hit like a physical blow. "Marcus has been talking to healthcare professionals, investors in your app." "The story is spreading," Tyler said. Rage flooded through my veins. Marcus was trying to destroy my reputation, my career, everything. At Jonathan's office, I slammed social media screenshots onto his desk. "This needs to stop now." "He's destroying my reputation," I said. "Yes, but we can use that," Jonathan said. "False accusations open him up to serious defamation charges." Miranda walked in, her expression grim. "You can't let him control the narrative. The moment you react out of anger, he wins," she said. I took a deep breath, nodding. But inside, I was burning with rage. Marcus wanted to wage war on my reputation? Fine. Two could play that game. I found him at Meridian, an expensive rooftop bar, laughing with two men in suits. The sight of him relaxed, like he hadn't destroyed my reputation, made my blood boil. I walked up to their table and whispered, "You have no idea what you've just started." Marcus's smile flickered before he recovered. "Well, Elena," he said loud enough for his companions to hear, "let's see what you've got then." I had given him one last warning. Now I was done playing by any rules. Marcus had spent weeks trying to destroy everything I'd built. He had underestimated me at every turn. I was getting Sophia ready for school when my phone rang. "Hi, Jonathan," I answered. "You need to get down here," my lawyer said. Marcus filed an emergency injunction to freeze all company assets, he said. The words hit like ice water. On what grounds? I asked. He's claiming you've been siphoning funds and pose a flight risk, he said. It's complete fabrication, I said. He was trying to bleed me dry. Legal fees, frozen assets, I whispered. He's trying to destroy me financially. Exactly, Jonathan said. Marcus never fought fair. But not this time. I'll be there in 20 minutes, I said to him. At Jonathan's office, Marcus's filings were spread across the table. He's filed 3 motions to tie up your assets, Jonathan said grimly. His evidence is fabricated, but proving that takes time and money. I stared at the papers threatening my daughter's future. What's our counter-strategy? I asked. We file an emergency response and demand sanctions for harassment, Jonathan said. I felt a cold smile spread across my face. Do it, I said to him. It's time to show him real consequences. 2 weeks later, I sat across from Marcus in court. He was dressed sharp, radiating confidence. He thought this was his moment. His lawyer stood first. Your Honor, Ms. Rodriguez improperly transferred company assets. We request a full forensic audit, the lawyer said. I sat perfectly still. Jonathan adjusted his glasses and stood. Your Honor, my client's asset protection was implemented before Mr. Castellanos filed his petition. There's no evidence of fraud. He slid a binder to the judge. We request dismissal and that Mr. Castellanos cover all legal fees, Jonathan said. The judge reviewed the documents silently. Marcus stared at me, waiting for me to crack. I met his gaze steadily. Finally, the judge looked up. The court finds no grounds for audit. Motion denied. Mr. Castellanos will pay all legal fees, the judge said. The gavel cracked. Marcus had lost again. Outside, Marcus muttered, You think this is over, Elena? I knew he wouldn't give up easily. The call came the next morning. Elena, we have a serious problem, Jonathan said. Marcus and Vivian filed a criminal complaint. They're accusing you of corporate fraud, he explained. I felt the air leave my lungs. Are the documents real? I asked. No, but they're sophisticated forgeries. But Miranda found an error. They backdated transactions to non-existent accounts. Our forensic accountant can prove they committed the fraud, Jonathan said. My fear turned to cold fury. At Jonathan's office, I made my decision. I want to go nuclear. Not just defend. I want to destroy them both, I said. Jonathan nodded with satisfaction. We have enough evidence to bury them. We'll prove the documents are fraudulent, then sue for conspiracy and defamation. Maximum damages. Jonathan smiled. I thought you might say that. 2 weeks later, I faced Marcus in court for the last time. Jonathan dismantled his case with precision. These documents were fabricated, he told the judge. We have proof the transactions never occurred. Our forensic expert detailed every false entry. Marcus's lawyers shifted uncomfortably. Jonathan placed a folder on the judge's bench. My client is countersuing for conspiracy and falsified evidence, Jonathan said. Marcus's face drained of color. His lawyer stood reluctantly. Your Honor, my client withdraws all claims, he said. The judge nodded. Motion dismissed. Mr. Castellanos will pay all costs and face sanctions. Outside the courthouse, I called out, Marcus? He turned reluctantly. We're done here, I said. For the first time in months, I felt genuine peace. I had one. 2 days later, I met with Jonathan for the final time. It's done, he said, sliding papers across his desk. Marcus and Vivian signed the settlement, he said. I scanned the documents. Marcus got nothing, no shares, no compensation. His reputation destroyed. How are you feeling? Jonathan asked. Like I can finally breathe again, I said. He smiled. You've earned that peace. I shook his hand. Thank you for everything, I said to him. Go build an amazing future for you and Sophia, Jonathan said. For the first time in a long time, I truly believed I could. That evening, Miranda and my mother insisted on a celebration dinner. Mom hugged me tight, tears of relief in her eyes. It's finally over, she whispered. Yes, I murmured back. It really is. Miranda poured champagne, raising her glass with a grin. To Elena, for proving single mothers don't back down. I clinked my glass against hers, laughing. I'll drink to that, I said. We ate, shared stories about Sophia, and for the first time in months, I wasn't waiting for the next crisis. The war was over. Later that night, I stood on our balcony looking out at the Chicago skyline. Everything felt different. I was no longer the woman who had trusted blindly. I had lost things such as my faith in partnerships, months of peace. But I had gained more, confidence, boundaries, and control over my daughter's future. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I didn't hesitate. Blocked. I opened my laptop and created a new business plan. My app. My company. My future. As I saved the file, I whispered, "This is our story now, Sophia. And nobody gets to rewrite it but us." Life has a way of testing us when we least expect it. Sometimes the people we trust most are the ones who betray us completely. But here's what I've learned. Strength isn't about avoiding betrayal. It's about how you fight back. When Marcus tried to steal everything I built for my daughter, I could have collapsed. Instead, I chose to fight for my company, my dignity, and Sophia's future. You are stronger than you realize. If you've been blindsided by betrayal, you're not alone. Sometimes, protecting what you've built is the greatest victory of all. Have you ever had to fight for what was rightfully yours?